Hello, all, and welcome back to another episode of Movies and Us, a weekly gathering place filled with conversations about movies, stories, and connection. My name is Jennifer Hahn.
And I'm Sarah Callan.
And today we are going to be doing a very special Oscars predictions episode. The Oscars are just 3 days away, I believe. We're here on a Thursday night. The Oscars are Sunday, and we are hotly anticipating the award ceremony. How excited are you, Sarah?
I'm very excited. I'm still a little salty at the Academy for not nominating certain people in certain movies, but on the whole, I'm excited. There's a lot of great movies here, and honestly, it's just a good time to celebrate a great year of movies from a lot of different perspectives, a lot of different styles, so it should be pretty fun.
Yes, indeed. All is right in the world when we are salty and a little bit upset at the Academy for some things. It's gotta always be some things for us to get upset about, things for us to get heated about, and we will certainly be sharing those things. But there's just such an amazing crop of movies this year. I would say overall, the crop of movies that we've got and that are celebrated, I would say are very solid crew of movies, some incredible gems, and decently representative of the year in movies of 2023. So they did a decent job. Some missing gaps, but overall pretty solid. There have been other years that have been a little weaker, and I think this is a more solid year. All right, so in Movies and Us tradition, we annually do a, drumroll please, Oscar wager. And I mean, it's so much more fun to watch an award show when it's competitive. Let's be real. It's like 4 hours long of stars and bad jokes. So you need something to get you through. And what else could be better than some numbers, some data, some point systems, and some winner bragging rights and the ability to choose a movie. So Sarah, do you want to explain the rules of our Oscar wager that we run every year here on Movies and Us Pod?
Sure. As the great Monica Geller said, rules help control the fun. And here we are with our rules. So we are each going to share who our prediction is that the Academy will choose, and then we are going to share our personal pick who we think should win. So if our personal pick is selected, we get 1 whole point. If our prediction is correct, we get 5 points. And then the winner gets, obviously, bragging rights. Excellent. Amazing.
A prize possession. Let's be real. Yeah.
Honestly, the top prize. We don't even need to keep going. But the secondary prize is that the winner gets to choose the next movie that we review.
And we've had an interesting couple of years of Oscar wager winner movies.
Do you want to talk about the claymation sex scene that you made me watch?
Yes. There was no other conditions I could get you to watch this movie about what it means to be a human being, and also this really weird 10-minute sex scene. But we ignore that part. The rest of the movie is really like artsy fartsy, wonderful, delightful, a lot of meaning. The following year, I believe it
Anomalisa, right? That was what that movie was called. Yes.
Yes. Charlie Kaufman, I believe.
Yes.
Claymation from beginning to end. It's basically about loneliness, the human experience, human connection, what it means to bare your soul with another human being. And what better way to do that than with claymation?
Honestly, the only way.
The following year, I believe we watched The Shape of Water.
Yes. Weird Lizard. Yeah.
Weird Lizard, which we had a random fun spin-off episode where we battled about which was the most empathy-inducing lizard in all of cinema history. Yeah. So that was fun. Good fun that came from that. And then I believe the year after that, was that the Terminator year?
I honestly
there one more year in there?
Cannot remember. But yes,
There's
then we did Terminator, which was so fun. I think that was last year.
Yes, that was. That was indeed. And quick thing about the rules is that you'll notice that they've changed from last year, because last year we rewarded ourselves for our personal picks being in alignment with the Academy. And while that was good fun, I think that the reward for, your personal desires coming to fruition in reality is already a reward itself. So we have changed the rules this year, and you are rewarded for your predictions with 5 points and your personal picks with 1 point. So we swapped the two.
Mm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which
So
I think will be actually really fascinating, because I think there's some categories where our predictions will be really, really quite weighty in defining the outcome of this wager.
Yeah, my prediction for this wager is that you are going to win again. You were unbeaten until last year when we changed the rules, and then I won, but only because I liked Everything Everywhere All at Once more than you did. So my prediction for this year's wager is that you will once again be the reigning champion.
We'll see. Previous years I have really thought deeply. This year I have not. So it's all a crapshoot. All right. Like I went with pure instinct. I looked at this and I was like, my spidey senses tell me this, and we're just gonna go with it. I'm not gonna analyze nothing. We just went on instinct. So we shall see. We shall see. It'll be fun. It'll be really fun. Mm-hmm. And another exciting thing about this year's wager is that we have the record number of categories that we are covering this year. We're covering 15 categories. That's insane. That's amazing.
Yeah, that is insane. We watched a lot of great movies this year.
We did. Our Oscar season preparation period insanity really began during the fabulous year of 2020 or it could have been, was 2020 or 2021? I think it was 2020, where we watched like so many movies in preparation for the Oscars. We were like, oh, well, surely we've got nothing else to do since we're all locked in at home. Let's just watch all of these fabulous movies to really dive in fully on the awards season rush. So the insanity has continued. Here we are 4 years later.
Honestly, I love some good movie insanity, and that's what we've done, and it's paid off. So here we are, 15 categories to see who wins our wager.
Yes. All right. Shall we dive in?
Yeah, let's go. We got 15 categories to get through.
Me too. Let's not have to be literally 2 hours long. All right. Here we go. Let's start with best costume design, and I'm going to list off the movies that are nominated in this category. They are Barbie, Killers of the Flower Moon, Napoleon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. All right, so we are going to start off each category by sharing our prediction for what we think the Oscars voting body will pick. So what is your prediction for this category?
My prediction is Poor Things.
For 5 points each, if we get this right, because I also picked Poor Things.
Oh, heck yeah. Way to go. Go team.
Yes. I think this is a slam dunk. I would be surprised if it's not Poor Things. All right. What was your personal pick for this category?
Say Jen, different. You already know. It's Poor Things.
Yes.
There is only one answer for me.
Me too. This is the easiest category to pick out of all of them, I've got to say. I think I locked these two in real fast. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Okay, well, it's a tie. Oh, wonderful. Yeah. We're off to a great start. The plot is thickening. We're really building to suspense as we head to our next category, which is production design. I'm going to read off the list of nominees. They're actually the same, interesting enough, with the list of nominees for best costume design, and they are Barbie, Killers of the Flower Moon, Napoleon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. All right, thoughts on the nominees in this category? Anything notable?
No, I think it's kind of indicative of this year's Oscars, where we see the same names kind of popping up in the majority of the categories.
No, it's so true. It's really quite fascinating. There's about like 6. It's what's that psychology concept around like human beings don't know how to hold more than like 3 to 5 items in their brain at the same time. Like you really see that come to fruition in this year's Oscar movies, because there really is 5 to 7 movies that are constantly showing up in these categories, and it's a lot of the ones in these two categories. So, all right, what was your prediction for what the Oscar will pick for this category?
My prediction is that they will pick Oppenheimer.
Yeah, yeah, I could see that. I could see Oppenheimer for sure. Um, and the Oppenheimer sweep begins with this category. My predictions actually maybe a little bit too optimistic and hopeful, but I picked Poor
Oh,
Things.
nice. Nice. I like
This
it.
might be my fatal mistake.
Jen, we
My
have
optimism
15
is blending.
categories. Don't worry about it. It's one category. We got 15.
Okay,
You're fine.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, my prediction is Poor Things, mostly because I think that Oppenheimer's gonna get a ton of other categories, and I was thinking maybe they will acknowledge Poor Things in some of these other categories is my thought. But I think Oppenheimer's a strong second. I think the other ones in the category probably won't get picked. Although there's one that I think is brilliant in a very maybe unacknowledged way in all its fullness, and it's my personal pick. But first, your personal pick for this category.
Oh my gosh, you have me so intrigued. Wow, I need to know what you picked. My pick is Poor Things. So we've already talked about it.
Wow.
What is your
Okay.
pick?
So either you will get your one whole point or I will get 5 whole points.
Yes.
Either way, one of us is winning. My personal pick for this category is actually Barbie. And the reason for that is that I think that the production design and the sets that are built to make that world feel so like tactile and yet also so whimsical is actually like a very difficult task. Like it's the perfect amount of sheen, the perfect amount of plastic, the way it's able to create a sense of like touchable, playable material with the sets. I actually think it's a hard task to do without it feeling really off, really wonky, and really like not aligned to the nostalgia that people feel with their own memories playing with Barbie products. And I think that the like there's a lot of subtle nuance that the production design of Barbie employs to land that so accurately, and it toes a very fine line. I think had it swung in many other different directions or even was a little bit off, I think it could have felt just a little bit like, oh, they almost got it, but not exactly. And I think they absolutely nailed that look and feel of the world. And I think that's a really hard task to do. Down to things like the lighting of the way that the sets glow the light bounces off the plastic of the world. It's a hard task. I don't envy figuring out the production design of that movie, and I think they really do nail it.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. That was my personal pick until I was an agent of chaos like 10 minutes before we hopped on and I changed it. So solid
Amazing.
pick. Barbie is incredible. Yes, totally. Like,
I love it.
Completely agree.
Okay. Wonderful. Wonderful. I think they're the strongest 3 for this category.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think Barbie will win, so it's fine.
I know, which is sad because it's so excellent the way that the whole world is constructed.
Really, really difficult. Yep. Down to like the color palette. It's just so good. So good. And I think unacknowledged in how much effort that takes. I think people are like, oh, that looks really legit.
Yeah.
But no, to think about having to have a white canvas and to create that, I think is really difficult. So anyway, that's my Barbie Productions Design Manifesto. And here we are.
It's great. Honestly, like they might not get an Oscar, but they just got minutes of praise from us, which is honestly the same thing. It's close enough.
Right? Here's your award.
Yeah.
Hope you're pleased at the after party with Movies and Us Pod's manifesto about you. Okay. The next category is Best Visual Effects, and we finally get a set of different movies. Yay! The Creator, Godzilla Minus One, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. That movie title is still a mouthful every time. And Napoleon. All right. Thoughts on the nominees in this category? Anything
Jen,
notable?
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know what to do with this category. I'm like, I don't
I don't
know.
blame you.
I liked one of these movies. That's all I have.
Yeah, I know. I think it's going to be your personal pick. I
Yep,
already
it sure
know.
is. You already know. There's no suspense here.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that to me there's two that are really strong. One that's okay. Like I think the creator Godzilla minus one are probably the strongest in this category. Napoleon's like right there in the middle. Like it's fine. They do some interesting stuff, but it's not blowing you out of the water. And then there's like Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part One's visual effects. Nothing notable to me. I'm like, this is standard action movie CGI stuff. Like I don't think this is worthy of you know, celebrating and awarding the craft of that movie. You know what I mean? And we didn't have many options to choose from to begin with. So it's funny because we just finished reviewing and watching Dune 2, and I'm like, this is going to be a full sweep by Dune 2 next year.
Yeah, except it's March. So
True. Yeah.
That is the difficulty. So
yeah, that's true.
We'll see.
I mean, we'll see what else comes out this year.
Yeah.
Okay, well, what's your prediction?
Jen, I don't know. So I'm just going to pick Napoleon. Because I don't know what to do in this category.
Wow. Interesting. Okay.
It's the wrong answer, but it's the answer that I'm choosing.
This might be your fatal mistake or your greatest glory.
Which is just like Napoleon. So this is very fitting for this category.
I love it. My prediction is Godzilla minus one. I think this is going to be their chance to celebrate this movie, give it a nod. I think it's going to be their way to celebrate a movie created by a more diverse creative team. And so they get the, PR and whatnot from there. And, the way that team efficiently used their budget, I think is also going to be a fascinating part of this too. So that is my prediction. But yeah, this one was a tough category to choose. It could really be a crapshoot, I think. More interestingly, though.
Yeah. I hope that you are correct.
Yes.
I appreciate your positivity, and I am always the dark storm cloud to your ray of sunshine. So I hope that you're right, because Godzilla minus one is my personal pick. This movie freaking rules. It's the best one on this list. Go Godzilla.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. This will be interesting because my personal pick is the creator.
Nice. It is, honestly. The visuals in the creator are the best part of that movie.
Yeah. I think that the creator does something really exciting in the world of visual effects and in sci-fi and action movies in general, which is that it really leans into highlighting the like organic nature of the world that is inhabited by these characters. And I think that's really fun, really thrilling. And I think the visual effects do help bring that world building to life in that movie. And honestly, like the plot of that movie is like fine. It's okay. It's not great, but the world building of that movie is one of my favorites. And I think the visual effects really help enable the world building in that movie. So that's why I'm picking the creator. Godzilla minus one's a solid choice too.
Yeah, no, that's a great choice. Those are, as you said, those are the top two in this category.
I think the creator's least likely. Not least likely. Out of Napoleon, Godzilla minus one, and the creator, I think the creator is probably the least likely to win. So I think it's going to be between Godzilla minus one and Napoleon. We shall see. This might be a key defining category for our wager. I'm going to say that about every category.
You sure
specifically
are.
This one.
It's pretty.
Specifically this one. Because I think we're going to be a lot more aligned in our predictions in the upcoming couple of categories. The big ones,
I don't know.
Especially.
We'll see.
Really?
Because I might be an agent of chaos. You never know.
Oh my! Wow, the suspense is building. The plot is real thick.
That's all I'm trying to do, is trying to just build suspense so that people keep listening.
All right. Well, keep listening, y'all, to find out how Sarah Cowan is an agent of chaos here on a Thursday night. Okay. best sound, I'm going to read off the nominees, which are The Creator, Maestro, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, Oppenheimer, and The Zone of Interest. All right, this category is really interesting because I think that the chasm between the strongest candidates and the weakest candidates is very large as the Grand Canyon. Like, it is the caliber of sound design craft, I think, is just night and day between some of these. So I'm curious your thoughts on this collection of movies for this category.
Yeah, it is an odd little group of movies, and it feels weird to compare them to each other.
Yep.
Like, I don't know. I'm not sure. It feels like you're comparing apples and oranges with some of these. So this is an eclectic little category.
Yep, very much so. Very much so. I'm not seeing Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 in the same list as the Zone of Interest. I'm not into it. No. Different type of movie, you know?
Yeah, that feels
Mission
wrong.
Impossible is a great, fun popcorn movie, but it is not the same caliber that the Zone of Interest is in. It's different. I mean, I feel like I'm hating on Mission Impossible, but don't get me wrong, I had a great time in that movie, but I don't know if it's like best sound Academy Award winning level, you know? And I would love to talk to anyone who does.
I also don't remember, like, even The Creator we watched so long ago, and I remember being amazed at the sound while watching The Creator. I also remember being amazed by the visual effects. But with Mission Impossible, that doesn't stand out to me at all. Like, I have no memory of being in awe of the sound, where I think these other ones, I was like, oh my gosh, the sound design is great.
Truly.
So it's very interesting that Mission Impossible, with the longest name ever, has popped up yet again in this category.
Right. They ran a fabulous campaign, and it is a solid movie. They didn't do a bad job on it. It's just we are celebrating the best of the best here. So, okay, what's your prediction? What do you think the Oscars will go with?
My prediction is that the Oppenheimer train is just going to keep just plowing through anything that's in its way. So I think the Academy is going to choose Oppenheimer.
Yes, unfortunately, I think so as well. You can't see me, but I'm shaking my head slowly, dramatically. Here it begins. All aboard the Oppenheimer train that is just shooting across the hills. Here we go. I think they're going to go with Oppenheimer for this category, which I think it's a solid choice. It's a solid choice. It's not my personal pick. What is your personal pick?
I'm very curious if we have the same personal pick, which is The Zone of Interest.
Yes, indeed. I feel very passionate about this one.
I
feel very passionately. This one is like leaps and bounds ahead of the others, I think, in my opinion. And the sound design is so vital to that movie. The movie literally does not work without the way that the sound mixing is so nuanced and subtle, and you really have to strain your ears to really listen for the sounds of what's happening beyond the walls. And that is brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. Tell me why you picked The Zone of Interest.
I mean, honestly, for the same reason. I think for me, it really came down to between Oppenheimer and The Zone of Interest, because I remember sitting in the theater watching Oppenheimer and thinking to myself multiple times, like, oh, the sound design is incredible, which is just such an interesting thing to think about while you're watching a movie. But I think for me, it's the fact that the sound design in the Zone of Interest is so pivotal to the plot. Whereas I don't think it's crucial to Oppenheimer's plot, and it's just a cool storytelling device. And so for me, that sets the Zone of Interest just a little bit higher, because if you don't have that really good sound design in the Zone of Interest, the movie doesn't work. Whereas I think with Oppenheimer, the movie would still be incredible if the sound wasn't as good. So that's why I chose the Zone of Interest.
Yep. Totally agreed. And I think the Zone of Interest executes on their vision. Like, if you're going to have that play such an important role, like to land the nuances of how loudly versus softly, and the mixing of all of the different sound effects, the chirping of the birds, the mowing of the lawn. Like, it is so intentional about even what sounds are included in that movie to create the overall thesis of the movie. It's so intertwined, and without that execution being like top of the top, the movie doesn't work entirely, like you mentioned. Yeah, agreed.
All right.
All right.
Let's go zone of interest. You got this. We believe in you.
Do. Oh my gosh, I really hope it wins this one. I'm not hopeful though. I'm not confident. Okay, moving right along. We're getting into some fun categories. Best original score. This is a fun one. We've got some new movies in the mix here. The first nominee is American Fiction. Then we've got Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. Okay, what is your prediction of who the Oscars will go with for awarding this category?
My prediction is all aboard the Oppenheimer train. We're still zooming through categories.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, tell me more.
I think that Oppenheimer is going to sweep a lot of categories. So here we are. Also, the score is very good in this movie. Like, it would be warranted, but I do think there's so much buzz around Oppenheimer that it's going to win a lot of awards.
Okay. Yeah. How do you feel about the Oppenheimer train whizzing through the hills?
Well, Jen, you know about my desire for everybody to win a something or other. So I don't like it when a movie sweeps everything. So I hope that I'm wrong. I hope that I lose this year and that they're a little bit more equitable in their distribution. But I mean, Oppenheimer is a fantastic movie, so like I get it. But also, can we celebrate some other movies too?
Yes, I'm saying, man. I mean, yeah, you can sweep, even if you sweep some of the big ones. Like, let's leave some of these other award categories to be able to celebrate other things. So, my perhaps delusional self is going with the prediction that they're going to go with Poor Things for this category.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Because I think that they're going to award Oppenheimer in many other categories. And I think perhaps they will give this award to Poor Things to celebrate it. Because I do think that in the industry, there is also quite a bit of excitement about Poor Things. And I think that it will come up and be reflected somehow in some of these categories. I don't think Poor Things is going home entirely empty-handed. So perhaps this is what they'll give it to.
I like it. Yeah.
All right, what's your personal pick?
Okay, so keeping with my tradition of which is the soundtrack that I have listened to.
Okay.
Yeah, this is what I've done, I think, every year. Wow. And this year, I have listened to the American Fiction score.
I knew it.
So good. It's so good. There's been like multiple days where I'm like, ooh, that's exactly what I need. That is the vibe for my working day. It's an incredible score. So that's my pick. Love it.
I love that you are data-driven in your method and really looking at honestly, what score you've probably spent hours of your life in the past several months just soaking in, like it has accompanied you through so many things, so that's fascinating. American Fiction. I'll have to go visit that score. Like, especially separated from the visuals, just to like, I'm making dinner, American Fiction soundtrack. Doing some work, American Fiction soundtrack. Really live the life of Sarah Callan.
Well, I don't know if you want to do that. It's a weird choice. But I think this, even like of these 5 options, I remember being in the theater, especially for Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things, being kind of amazed by the score as I was watching. But I didn't want to take that extra step to listen to the score outside of it. American Fiction, though, I wanted to just immerse myself in that score. So it's my personal pick.
I love it. I love it. I love it. My personal pick is Poor Things. So my prediction and my pick are aligned in this category. And
Oh.
man, Poor Things toes such a fascinating line tonally throughout the entire movie. And it is weird, it is funky, it is tender, it's got this flair. And I think that the score really heightens the visual diversity and excitement and vibrance that we see in that movie. And the score is so lock and step with every other aspect of the filmmaking. Obviously the visuals, the cinematography, the production design, the performance, like they are all working together so well. And I think the score really helps you feel a lot of the emotions and especially the mixed emotions that we see Bella experience over the course of her transformation. So that score, when I looked at this list, was the most memorable and captivating and so fitting with the thesis of the movie that I was like, this is slam dunk for me. This was an easy choice. So, Poor Things.
Yeah, that's a great choice.
All right. Moving right along to film editing. All right. We've got some new movies in the mix in this category. The list of nominees are Anatomy of a Fall, The Holdovers, Killers of a Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. So some familiar faces, some new faces. Who are you predicting will win this category?
Jen, you already know. It's Oppenheimer.
Oh no. I knew it. That's what I picked too. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I unfortunately I think this is gonna play out. I think that the technical filmmaking of Oppenheimer is so strong, and I think that it's going to take a lot of the technical categories, including this one. And there's a lot of really fascinating things that the editing does for the pacing of this movie. Sometimes there's these hard cuts. Sometimes the editing is creating a sense of adrenaline and pace. So it is very strong. It is very strong. So the Oppenheimer train continues to barrel on into the horizon. Mm-hmm. What about you?
Exactly for the same reason. Again, like I was trying to figure out another movie that I could like, oh, okay, I think this one might edge out Oppenheimer, and I couldn't come up with one. So yeah. Here we go. Oppenheimer drain. All aboard. Let's go.
Man, we're really getting into the categories that are the Oppenheimer behemoth is strong and sturdy and really making its presence very known in some of these. Okay, more interestingly, what is your personal pick for this category?
It's Oppenheimer. I wanted
You've
to
betrayed
pick
me, Sarah.
I know.
You've betrayed me.
I know, and I feel terrible about it. I wanted to pick something else, and I couldn't. I tried so hard. I was like, okay, I'm going to pick Killers of the Flower Moon. I'm going to pick Poor Things. I'm going to pick Anatomy of a Fall. Like I tried all of those. I wasn't going to try The Holdovers. I'm sorry. I did not enjoy that movie.
Yeah, me neither.
But for me, I think Oppenheimer wins out over those other ones. It's, I don't know. A case could be made for the other ones, but for me, I had to go with Oppenheimer. I'm sorry to have betrayed you.
You are dumping coal into this moving train as it is barreling forward. It's fine.
I am. Unfortunately, I am part of the problem.
It's okay. We've got more categories. You can redeem yourself soon. We shall see.
We shall see. We'll see what happens.
Oh, how chaotic it's going to be. Oh, yeah. Yeah. My choice for this is Anatomy of a Fall. See, nice. I just love this movie. Yeah. So I want to give a bunch of things to it. And I think that the pacing. I mentioned the pacing and the way that the editing really contributes to the like rhythm and the energy of the arc of a scene and the arc of a film when in the case of Oppenheimer, which it does. But I think that the editing is so vital to such a contained story for Anatomy of a Fall. Like, we spend so many minutes of this movie in that courtroom or in that home, and the editing does such a fabulous job partnering with the cinematography to create a sense of tension, anxiety, adrenaline, tension. You know what I mean? I think it really helps dramatize a lot of those scenes, especially when I was looking at these nominees. Like, I think back to the scenes where they're in the thick of the trial and they're debating and they're cutting back and forth between Sandra Hüller's face and her son's face and the attorney's faces, like, and the judge's faces, like, all of that cut together in the juxtaposition really helps give a sense of urgency and a sense of adrenaline to those scenes. And I think when you're in such a contained space, you really rely on the editing quite a bit for that. So my choice is Anatomy of a Fall. I just love this movie, so I just want to give things to it.
Heck yeah. Let's give it as many of our own Movies and Us awards as we can. We're going to create a whole award system just to give to Anatomy of a Fall.
Yes, please.
Okay, great.
Yes,
got it.
Love it. Okay, next category is Best Cinematography. I'm going to read off the list of nominees. They are El Conde, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. What is your prediction?
Jen, I'll give you one guess.
Oppenheimer.
Yeah, dude. Oppenheimer train.
Yep. That's my choice too. Can you hear the defeat in my voice? We've got so many more categories to go.
I know. We're not even halfway through. And we've already picked Oppenheimer so many times.
I know. This is a problem. But see, if anything, it's only up from here. The Academy can only surprise us by choosing one less category to give the Oppenheimer, and I will be so happy. So happy. Okay. Thoughts on this Oppenheimer pick?
I mean, the cinematography in this movie is so damn good. Like, I get it. It's so freaking good.
Yeah.
So
it is very good.
It makes sense.
Is it your personal pick?
Here's the thing. It should be my personal pick, but it's not, because I loved El Conde. Nobody else has seen this movie, and I loved it. So I'm going to pick it and celebrate it. It's great. It's so weird.
Glad. Thank goodness you have just redeemed yourself. And we love the rise of one protagonist and the fall of another, because I just gave you shit for putting coal into the fuel chamber for the Oppenheimer train, and I am now going to do that too, because my personal pick is Oppenheimer for this category.
Oh, how the tables have turned.
Oh, they have turned so quickly. The plot was really getting thick. Our meta arc is really thrilling here because I have become the villain. Yeah, I'm looking at this category, and I honestly almost had Killers of Flower Moon on here because I just love that movie as well. Mm-hmm. And I mean, Marty's cinematography is always solid, but I thought back to Oppenheimer, and there are some truly incredible shots visually that are constructed. But I think also for a biopic and the center around this man, like, there are so many fascinating shots of close-ups and the intention of the thought process to choose when to hit a close-up on Oppenheimer's face, on Cillian Murphy's face. I mean, he's literally, like, his face fills the entire screen. Like, his forehead's at the top of the screen, and, like, the bottom is the bottom of the screen. And it is so fascinating for us being so up in his space. And I think it really contributes to this feeling of, like, we are examining who this person is from so many angles, close up, far back, and the effects, the larger macro effects, like the Trinity test scene is beautiful. And some of those visuals of the men preparing to put on their, like, sunscreen to protect their skin, their sunglasses, like, all of those shots, the orange filling the screen, it really is so good. So I am working against my own narrative and choosing Oppenheimer for.
It's a really great choice. Like, I know
It.
you feel like the villain, but like that is the appropriate choice for this category. I am
Yeah,
just being an agent of chaos by picking the movie
good.
that I really loved that nobody's seen. So I'm going to definitely lose that point because there's no way that my movie is winning. So you made the smart choice here. Well done.
It's okay. My delusion will cancel it out later. It's all good. It's all good. All right. The next category is Best Original Screenplay. I've got to say, I love the screenplay categories, both this one and the adapted screenplay. I think they're so fascinating. And I think what the Academy chooses in this category always is so interesting to me every year, because sometimes there are these films that feel like such runaways in some of the big categories. And these are the ones where the Academy's like, you know what? We want to honor this story. We want to celebrate this story. Even though we're not going to give it the way it deserves in the other categories, we're going to honor it here. So I'm always so interested to see what the Academy picks with these. So, okay, what is your prediction for what the Academy will go with for Best Original Screenplay?
I really struggled with this category. And I kept, so basically what I did is I felt strongly about two movies, and so I picked one of them as my prediction and then the other as my personal pick.
Wait, let me actually read the films really quick.
Yeah,
I just realized I did it. Okay. Anatomy of a Fall, The Holdovers, Maestro, May December, and Past Lives. All right. Now go ahead.
So my prediction is Past Lives.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Plot twist. Ooh.
Right?
Oh,
Yeah.
it's gonna be juicy. It's
right?
gonna be juicy for the wager.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me why. What was your thinking?
No, I think a
This
lot
is one of the two that you loved.
I know. I think a lot of people really loved this movie. And so my hope is, because it wasn't nominated in a ton of categories, that maybe people are willing to give it some love here. And I think people really did love this movie. So I think that there is a case to be made. And I also think that the screenplay is very, very good. I know that you didn't connect with it, but I really loved the way that it was structured and the way that this story really unfurls throughout the course of the film. So I think it's such a strong screenplay, and I'm hoping that just the general love for it, they will want to give Celine Song the nod here.
Yeah, I love this pick. It is my second pick. As much as, I mean, the story itself I had some issues with, but this is Best Original Screenplay. And I think that Past Lives does such a fascinating job introducing these really fresh new ideas that aren't often told on the big screen. And it breaks so many of the norms of the genre of a romance story. It breaks a lot of the molds and kind of redefines the idea of this like childhood love trope that we've seen, and adds a whole new dimension with this aspect around the immigrant story and just that ending. I mean, that ending is captivating as and there's other problems that I have with this movie, but I think it is fresh. And this category is Best Original Screenplay, and it really brings to life the original aspect of it. Like, this has a lot of new ideas to share that are fresh on the scene that honestly we haven't seen in movies, because movies like this haven't get made before. So this is a solid pick. This is my number 2 pick, actually, but I didn't go with this one. But I love it. I wouldn't be mad if it won.
Yeah, but we have one of your faves in this category. So
and I did go with that for my prediction.
Nice.
But this is not my delusional self, optimistic self going with this prediction. There's a justification that I have, which is the key to my reasoning, which my logic could be totally not valid here, but this is my reasoning, is that it was surprising and fascinating to a lot of folks, including myself, that Justine Triet made it as a nominee in Best Director. And I think it signals to me that there is an appreciation for this movie and this story much more prominently than I would have expected. And I think that because they may not give an award to her and to this movie in some of those other categories, I think this might be the place that they're going to celebrate this movie that clearly they appreciate, they love, they adore, they see the vision, and I think they're going to say this is where we want to acknowledge you. So that's my reasoning. There's some logic there.
No, I think that's a great reasoning. And that's why that's my personal pick. Like,
yes.
I feel like for both Past Lives and Anatomy of a Fall, I put in that similar category of like, it's not going to get the bigger awards. So I think it could win here. And I kept switching the two, and I was like, I don't know. Because I think either one of them, it's kind of a toss-up in my brain, because either one of them could win here. So Anatomy of a Fall is my personal pick.
I love it. I love it. That is also my personal pick. Yeah, I mean, man, the screenplay is fire. It is so strong. It's cerebral, it is emotional, it hits all of those notes, and it is so well constructed. To do a great legal drama well requires such attention to detail, and not only just attention to detail, but also understanding the nuance and implication of those details, and to expand and contract the layers of those implications and then those nuances so that there is something to talk about that feels like a real ambiguous interpretation for these details that could be one way and could mean another thing. Like, that is hard to do. And the fact that we end this movie still being like, did she do it? We don't know, but that's also not the point. Like, that ambiguity invites you as the audience into the complex moral implications of the story, the complex emotional dynamics of this marriage and this family. And without the right, like the rock solid, well crafted level of ambiguity that this movie somehow able to construct, which just feels like an impossible task, this movie doesn't work, and its thesis and its point doesn't work. And man, this is some incredible writing. The lines, the dialogue in those court scenes and the trial are so good.
Okay, so Anatomy of a Fall wins. Movies and Us is Best Original Screenplay Award. Congratulations, Anatomy of a Fall!
Yes! Woo! All right, next category. Best Adapted Screenplay. And the nominees are American Fiction, Barbie, Poor Things, Oppenheimer, and Zone of Interest. Some familiar faces in this category. We've seen them before. What is your prediction for what the Oscars will go with?
My prediction is Barbie.
Wow. Okay, tell me more.
I think because Greta Gerwig didn't get the Best Director nod, I'm wondering if they will give her Best Adapted Screenplay. That's my thought. Is
that's really fair.
She got what is perceived as a snub. I don't know. There's an argument to be made there. I was making the argument a few weeks ago. So I think that the Academy will want to honor her and her contribution. So that's my thought.
That's fair. That's really fair. She is so beloved in the industry too, and so respected, that I could see this being the place where they say like, hey, there was some great stuff here. I think out of all of the categories that Barbie's nominated in, this is probably the most likely candidate for some of the more prominent categories for it to take home as well. Out of all of them, this would be the one. Yeah. I'm going with another pick for my prediction. Similar reason, I think, as the thought process behind Best Original Screenplay, and it's basically like, I don't think it's going to win in a lot of the other categories, so I think that they're going to recognize it here, and it's Poor Things. Again, I think that there's a healthy amount of energy around this movie, and I think it is right up there with Oppenheimer in a lot of these categories, but I think Oppenheimer will edge it out, and so I think this will be a place where they recognize something that is fresh and bring something really new to the screen, and was energizing for both like the film critics world and also for the masses. And I think this might be the category that they award Poor Things.
I like
What
it.
is your personal pick?
I really struggled with my personal pick. There are two movies that are kind of tied for me. And so I'm going with The Zone of Interest.
What was your second choice? Oppenheimer?
American Fiction.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me more.
I think for me, both of those movies, they have such intricate screenplays, and like on the surface it might not seem like there's a lot there that's special, but I think for both American Fiction and The Zone of Interest, even though like they couldn't be more different, I think that they both share that really dynamic and interesting and complex screenwriting that makes it look like it's easy, it's simple, there's nothing going on there. But the more that you think about it and you unpack the layers, there's so much meat there to just discover and enjoy. And so I really enjoyed the writing in both of those films. And so it is a toss up between the two for me, honestly. So it was kind of just on a whim, I went, okay, I'm going to go Zone of Interest. So here we are.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's also a smart choice from a wager perspective, which I know is not probably a factor you were thinking about, but out of the two, I think the Zone of Interest has a higher likelihood to win as well. So you might get your one whole point there as well. But these are two solid choices. Yeah. This is such a strong category of nominees chosen. Like really, like every movie in this category is very solidly in the running, I think, and well deserved to be nominated in this category. There isn't one where I'm like, yeah, okay. My personal pick, I'll just say that the villain era continues, and Oppenheimer.
Woohoo! Jen is aboard the Oppenheimer train. Oppenheimer Express.
And you know what's funny is that this isn't even one of those categories where like my pick is aligned with the prediction. No, I am just a whole ass point that I'm gonna give to myself potentially if Oppenheimer wins in this category.
Nice.
I think, I mean, I know that Oppenheimer is beloved and there's a lot of things that are great about it. For me, what I found most compelling about Oppenheimer as a film is the writing, the way that this film is able to do a biopic focused on a single man's life, a period of time in a single man's life, and have it be such a rich experience, and also be able to connect this individual man's choices into these larger universal themes about the way that human nature operates, senses of morality, our moral responsibilities that we feel beholden to and maybe are haunted by, these themes around like desiring like ambition and legacy, and then realizing like, hey, like maybe I didn't do a good thing, and how do I try and redeem myself and clear my conscience. Like there's so much here, and oh my god, it's a feast for your brain to just ruminate on the themes that are introduced. And I think Nolan really does an amazing job bringing to life this one man's story, and yet that one man feels like an everyman, which is reflective of the way that so many great men have fallen into so many of these same internal tensions and traps and whatnot. I loved that aspect about Oppenheimer. Like when I think about biopics, like Oppenheimer's really set the bar quite high for me. And there's a million biopics out there, and a lot of them are just fine. They're fine. They focus on an individual's life and they kind of tell an interesting story. But to be able to invite us into thinking about these larger themes through an individual person's life and do it so efficiently, do it in a well-paced way, what to emphasize and not emphasize. Like he makes such smart decisions. And this movie is also based on like a 900-page fat book about like a full deep dive in this person's life. So his ability to like parse all of that out and really pull out these themes and be smart with the limited screen time that he has to emphasize certain aspects and let other things fall to the wayside. I'm so impressed. So that is my Oppenheimer love, and that is the rest that I'm going to have for the rest of this episode. That's it.
That's great. I think it's a great choice. I know that you are entering your villain era, and I'm here for it. It's great.
Yeah. Reluctantly.
Like, and that's all right.
I love this movie, but I don't love how much other people love this movie. There's other things that I want them to love.
Okay, tone it down. Keep your love in moderation, folks. Like,
really though,
it's too much.
There's other children out here, and we can't just have our favorites, okay? The rule is we don't have favorites in the family, okay? There's other children that are getting neglected, and we're going to talk about them soon, I'm sure.
All right, let's see if we can get to some of those other neglected children in this category.
Okay, the next category is Best Supporting Actress, and the nominees are Emily Blunt in Oppenheimer, Danielle Brooks in The Color Purple, America Ferrera in Barbie, Jodie Foster in Nyad, and Davine Joy Randolph in The Holdovers. What is your prediction?
Jen, for me, there is only one choice in this. This is a category of one, and her name is Davine Joy Randolph. She is phenomenal in The Holdovers. I did not enjoy that movie, but she is exceptional, and I want her to take home the Oscar. So she is my prediction. She's also my pick because she's the only one in this category for me.
She's the only one for me too. She's also my prediction at my pick. That's so great. Wow, that was easy, efficient. Davine Joy Randolph, welcome to the stage of the Movie and Us Pod Awards. You have won this category on all fronts.
Absolutely.
In every multiverse strand. Yeah. Welcome to the stage.
Yeah.
Please give your speech. Beautiful speech. Thank you, Davine Joy Randolph. We appreciate you. We love you. She is so good in this movie. She is the emotional core of The Holdovers, and because that movie relies so heavily on the emotional tones that without her there, this movie doesn't work. So solid. The snubs in this category are, we need more The Color Purple representation is
hello,
as we talked about on our review.
We sure do. I'm still salty about The Color Purple only showing up in this one category. Danielle Brooks, fantastic, deserves the nomination, but there are plenty of others in that movie that deserve nominations as well. But we talked about that in our Color of Purple episode, so go listen to that. Go listen to us praise this incredible movie.
Indeed. All right, the next category is Best Supporting Actor, and I will read the nominees list. Sterling K. Brown in American Fiction, Robert De Niro in Killers of the Flower Moon, Robert Downey Jr. in Oppenheimer, Ryan Gosling in Barbie, and Mark Ruffalo in Poor Things. Okay. What is your prediction for this category?
Oppenheimer Express. Let's go. Robert Downey
RDJ. Yes, that's my pick too. That's my prediction, to clarify. Not my personal pick. Yeah, I think this is a lock for him. I think he's going to take it home. And he's going to give a charming, wonderful little speech. It's going to be great. He's going to do his RDJ thing, and everybody will be happy and smiley. More interestingly, what is your personal pick for this category?
Jen, I would like to inform you that I am back on the Oppenheimer train because RDJ is my pick in this category as well.
Wow. Tell me more.
I remember while watching this movie just being amazed at his performance. And while I was watching the movie, I was like, just give him the Best Supporting Actor award now. Like, he is so good in this. And he is competing against a lot of other things happening in this film. And he holds his own while also not not derailing things. He is such a good foil to Cillian Murphy in this, and
Yeah.
he just is able to play that stewing, bitter, political maneuvering guy so well in this. He's so convincing in this, and I think because his performance is so strong, that really helps round out Oppenheimer just in
Mhm.
general. So I think he gives a phenomenal performance, and I would be so happy if he won. There are a lot of good nominees in this category, so like it's a very strong category. I would be happy if most of the men in this category won, but I think for me, RDJ edged the others out.
Yes. Yeah. He is solid. He is so good, and he does what he needs to do in this. And I think it's such a fascinating role for him post his big Marvels run. So I just RDJ's back. Homeboy can act. In case y'all forgot, Iron Man's got it. Okay. He can do it. He can do it all. So this is really, really great. And I'm intrigued to see what choices he makes in the roles that he picks next as well. My personal pick for this category is Sterling K. Brown in American Fiction.
Nice. It's a good choice.
Um, yeah, I think he similarly, actually, for some of your reasoning with RDJ and Cillian Murphy, I think the foil between Sterling K. Brown and what's the lead's name? Jeffrey Wright. Is it Jeffrey Wright? It's Jeffrey Wright, right?
Yes, Jeffrey Wright.
Okay, Jeffrey Wright. I was like brain fart for a second. Um, Such fascinating foil, and I think Sterling K. Brown brings like an emotional vulnerability that is so key to the film, and so vital for Jeffrey Wright's character coming out of his shell as well. Sterling K. Brown's character really wears his heart on his sleeve, and you see the way that like rubs off on all of the other characters in this family. And I think it's such a grounded performance, such a emotionally like vulnerable performance from him, and I thought it moved me, and it was one of the most solid performances of this category.
Yeah, it's a great choice. That would be amazing if he won. Like, yes,
That would be so
it
cool.
is a phenomenal performance in that movie. So good pick.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we're getting to a juicy category. I think arguably potentially the juiciest category of this whole awards race. Best Actress. I'm going to read the list of nominees. Annette Bening in Naiad, Lily Gladstone in Killers of the Flower Moon, Sandra Hüller in Anatomy of a Fall, Carey Mulligan in Maestro, and Emma Stone in Poor Things. Who is your predicted winner?
Lily Gladstone. All the way.
Me too.
Nice.
I think she's going to take this one.
Yep, me too.
But I think it's going to be fascinating to see if the close second choice, Emma Stone, potentially they will go with, because I think in a lot of the awards races up till now, they've been neck and neck. One will take home one will take home the other. So this is the least locked in category, and that's always fun. Who is your personal pick?
Lily Gladstone.
Nice. We love when like your desires line up with reality.
Well, we'll see.
Reality. Potential reality.
This is either going to be really good for me or really bad for me. So we're all in on Lily Gladstone, and I'm not mad about that.
She gives such a difficult like actor's performance, I think, in this film, because she is so restrained, and it's part of her character to be so regal, so restrained, so unemotive, and yet she is able to communicate so much with her presence and with the look in her eyes in this movie. Oh, that is some of my favorite types of performances, is when they don't have the big, showy, flashy performance, but it is so understated, and yet they have to do so much. They have to tap into all of the acting skill sets that they have in order to communicate expressiveness for the character without doing the big, flashy stuff. And she really does that for this movie. And she's so vital. She's so vital. Her quiet strength, her quiet confidence is so vital to this story's thesis.
Yep. Absolutely. What was your pick?
My personal pick was Emma Stone in Poor Things.
Yeah. It's a great
Yeah.
choice. I mean, those two are the front runners for a reason. It's so
Yes.
neck and neck between them for completely polar opposite
Yeah.
performances, but I think both of them are Oscar worthy. It's a great choice.
Yes. Literally both sides of the spectrum. They could not be more different in the type of movie that they're in, the type of performance, and the type of acting chops that they're tapping into. Just different muscles, different tools in the toolbox that they're having to employ in both of these movies. All right, well, we will see. The next category is Best Actor. And the nominees are Bradley Cooper in Maestro, Coleman Domingo in Rustin, Paul Giamatti in The Holdovers, Cillian Murphy in Oppenheimer, and Jeffrey Wright in American Fiction. Who is your predicted winner?
All aboard the Oppenheimer train,
All
Cillian
aboard!
Murphy.
That's my pick too. Oh my. Yeah. Yeah. I think this is a lock. I would be shocked if he doesn't win.
Mm-hmm. Yep, me too. It's a very good performance.
It is very good.
There's a reason why he seems like a lock, and it's because he is phenomenal in this movie.
Yep. He does everything he needs to do, and he does it so well. And he's my personal pick as well. So the villain era is continuing.
Yep. I like it. I really like that you are embracing this villain era of your life. I think it's great. I fully support you in this.
Oh my. Don't worry. I have my rants. They're coming soon.
Ooh.
About villain areas ended, and I'm gonna be full on superhero protagonist coming to advocate for those that have been forgotten.
As you should, honestly.
Who's your personal pick?
Coleman Domingo. He's not gonna win, but I loved his performance in Rustin, which I feel like these other movies are like really good movies, and then they feature a good performance, where I feel like Coleman Domingo, like Rustin is kind of like a mediocre biopic, but Coleman Domingo makes that movie shine, and he makes it so special. And without him, that movie would have been kind of only okay. But with him, it's like, wow, this is an incredible joy to watch. So I think for me, his performance is so good, and he just lifts up the entire movie. And I just want to celebrate Coleman Domingo because he's great at what he does. So he's my personal pick. Even though he's not going to win, I celebrate him.
Yes. I'm so pleased that he is part of this list of nominees. I think that is amazing because I think there's going to be a lot more attention, a lot more eyeballs on Rustin and his performance. Oh my gosh, he captures the charisma of this character who the real life Bayard Rustin was just such a community organizer, and his ability to connect with people is so vital to that and so vital to the cause. And Coleman Domingo brings that charisma to life in such an endearing way. You just want to follow him throughout the movie. I don't even care what we do. Just watching him get to live his life and passionately pour his heart out into this thing, this cause, this purpose that he has dedicated his life to it's a joy. It's an important film too. I'm proud of the Oscars for including it. Yay.
Honestly, though, like when I saw
stars on the ground.
when I saw the nominees at first, and like everybody was freaking out about Barbie, and I totally get it, but I was just so excited that Coleman Domingo got this nomination. When I watched Rustin, I was like, oh my gosh, he deserves this, but I didn't think that the Academy would actually do it. And they did. And I'm so pleased.
Yeah. So good. All right. Our next category, last two. This is our second to last category, is Best Director. Here we go. The list of nominees are Jonathan Glazer for The Zone of Interest, Yorgos Lanthimos in Poor Things, Christopher Nolan for Oppenheimer, Martin Scorsese for Killers of the Flower Moon, and Justine Triet for Anatomy of a Fall. Solid list of movies, man. This is killer. This is amazing. Every movie in this category is absolutely stellar. I'm so pleased. This is my favorite category as far as the crop of movies that we get to talk about.
Yeah, no, they are all absolutely exceptional. And this is one of those categories that's really hard to choose because they are
Yeah.
all phenomenal. Like
Mhm.
it almost feels like you're like splitting hairs at this point.
Yep.
Like how
Yep.
do you make a choice?
Mhm. Mhm. Yep. Okay, here we go. What is your prediction?
Oppenheimer train.
Mm, yeah, me too. Uh, I'm not on it anymore. I've gotten off. But I think that everybody else is still on it, and so Christopher Nolan, I think will take home the award for this category. Yep. Yep. What's your personal pick? I'm so curious.
Jen, I am also so curious. Uh it's so hard. Like the amount of time that I sat just staring at these names and going, how do I choose? I don't
Yeah,
know. So
it's a great problem.
it is a great problem to have, but I
But
am
still a
also
problem.
I,
You need to pick one.
I you mean that I can't split it between 5 movies? I have to pick
We're not
only
doing
one?
the ending scene of Mean Girls where she breaks the tiara and tosses it into the audience at homecoming, okay? We can't.
Well,
Nope.
okay, fine. That's no
That award
fun,
is
Jen.
rock solid. We're not smashing it on stage and tossing them. Marty, here, catch the shard of glass, you know? Can't do it.
That's
No.
true. That's true. We don't want to harm Martin Scorsese. Okay. So I'm going to choose Oppenheimer as well.
You did not.
I
You did
know.
not. The
I
table
know. I'm a
turned.
terrible person.
Yeah,
I am a villain. And I know
it's
this
okay.
about
I was
myself.
for a long time. I'm handing the baton over back to you.
Yeah, I'll take it. I
Okay,
have no qualms
tell me your
about
thoughts.
this.
Tell me your thoughts. Yeah, no, I love it. I love it.
This movie is phenomenal.
Yeah,
And I Christopher Nolan killed it. Like I
yeah,
just
did clearly.
it's so good. As much
Yeah,
as like we don't want it to run away with all of the awards, like this makes sense to me. I think
yeah.
that Christopher Nolan absolutely outdid himself as he often does. And we see that in this film. So I am totally fine to give him the best director award. Did you make your pick your guy? Did you give it to Marty?
Dude, my dude. I have not said his name enough
You have
in
not.
this episode. It is an hour and 13 minutes, and the words Martin Scorsese and the words Killers of the Flower Moon have not come out of my mouth enough. So here we go. You ready for my manifesto?
Honestly,
um,
I have been ready this whole time. I am shocked at how much Poor Things is on your list and how little Killers of the Flower Moon has been
yeah,
on your list. So I am ready.
yeah.
I was prepared today to hear Jen talk about Killers of the Flower Moon. So I'm glad that we're here. I'm ready. Bring it on.
I saved it all for these big two categories at the end, you know? Um, yeah, I think that this film, I'm particularly just excited about, like, if I had to choose between Best Picture and Best Director to give Killers of the Flower Moon the award, I would pick Best Director, specifically because it awards and celebrates the person that has the vision behind the film, right? It is about the creative vision and realizing all of the filmmaking components to bring it to life. And Marty has a 50-year career of making movie after movie after movie. And I've loved seeing the ways that you can see pieces and aspects and tactics that he uses in Killers of the Flower Moon and trace them back to things that he was trying out in his early years. And so this just feels like such a culmination for him of all of the things that he's learned along the way, the craft that he's refined along the way, and not only just the execution of all of the filmmaking as a craft aspect, but I think that he's just deepened his point of view, his perspective, his choice about what he wants to communicate to the world, and the reflectiveness of this man to think about like the state of humanity, the state of society, the state of America, and put it into a film that is accessible to the masses. Well, I mean, it's a 3-hour film and a lot of people didn't see it because of that. But it is arguably like, in a lot of ways, it has a spirit of so many of his other films that people love. It's kind of a heist. It's kind of a crime movie. It's focused on these bad guys that are also charismatic. Like, we root for them and we're like, oh, maybe we shouldn't root for you. And all of that is so exciting and thrilling and fun to watch. And yet it is a scathing indictment and a call for us to reflect on who we are and how we allow systems to unfold. And then we haven't even started talking about just the moral responsibilities that he's taken such good care of and stewarded so well, in including the Osage Nation and the production of this movie, in the costume design, in some of the lines of dialogue. Like, he has hit every aspect of making responsible, ethical, purposeful filmmaking so well. And I truly believe that this is only the product of like a 50-year career of like a genius filmmaker, and him consistently pushing out content, dedicating himself to this craft, and finally he can create a film like this. Like, it takes reps, and he's put them in, and he's produced this work of art that I really think is like critical to his legacy. So that is why I would give Martin Scorsese, our dude Marty, the best director award. I think he deserves it. I think it'd be such a beautiful way to honor his legacy and kind of for him to go out with a bang. He might make another movie, but I think this does feel significant. In if this is his last movie, he would be satisfied with it. So thank you for coming to my TED Talk. That is my manifesto for lobbying for Martin Scorsese.
Honestly, I'm here for it. Can I change my pick to Martin Scorsese? I feel like you have swayed me off of the Oppenheimer train. For 10 minutes. And onto the Killers of the Flower Moon train. Yes. Excellent. Excellent work.
Oh, man. Yeah. Wow. Many minutes just went by. I think I blacked out and like words were coming and just my heart was getting poured out.
Honestly, here we are. It was great. Thank you for sharing your whole soul with us. It was beautiful. Yeah. It was great.
That felt good. That felt really good. That felt really great.
I'm glad.
Our child was neglected and it's okay now. He's gotten his moment. I'm so pleased. All right. The pinnacle category of the night, Best Picture. I'm going to rattle off a whole lot of movies, so be prepared. Lots of words are going to come flying at you. There's, I think, 9 or 10 movies on this list, so here we go. Buckle in. The list of nominees are American Fiction, Anatomy of a Fall, Barbie, The Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Oppenheimer, Past Lives, Poor Things, and The Zone of Interest. We made it to the end of the list. Congratulations, everyone. You've arrived. All right. What are you predicting will win? I think I already know.
You already know, Jen. It has been the theme of our entire night. I think Oppenheimer is going to win.
I think so too. Yeah. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's what we've been saying. Like, this movie is very, very well done. And so it makes sense.
Yeah.
So here we are.
Yeah. Is it your personal pick?
It is not.
Gasp. Oh my. Okay. What's your personal pick?
Your guy. Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yes.
I had to do it.
Gosh. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Every muscle in my body just like relaxed. I'm so pleased. I thought it was going to be Oppenheimer too. Okay, wonderful. Tell me your thoughts on Killers.
No, I think that this really is, I mean, very similarly to all the things that you just said, way more eloquently than I would say. But I think that this movie is Martin Scorsese working at like the full strength of his powers. And this is an incredible behemoth of a movie. And he, even though it is 3.5 hours long, it is still I don't know. It's incredible everything that he was able to jam pack into that movie. And every aspect of this movie just is excellent. And so I think even though it didn't get a lot of the press and attention that many of these other movies did, i.e. Oppenheimer, I think that it is such a special movie. And I think the fact that Martin Scorsese is nearing the end of his life. He is older. We want Martin Scorsese to live forever, but he's getting up there in age, and he is choosing to spend his time, like years and years of his life, crafting this. And you can just see the love and attention to detail at every level of this movie. So I think yeah, I want it to win Best Picture.
Yes, I love it. I love it. We have ended this narrative arc, and we are both on the side of Smarties, Team Marty. At the end of this, this is great. You know what's interesting is this is also my pick. No surprise to anyone. I've also picked this as my personal pick to win Best Picture. Here's my thing. I think Oppenheimer will win both Best Picture and Best Director. And my question is, why can't we split these two categories? We've got two meaty categories. Do they need to go to the same movie? And I mention that because we know that Oppenheimer is going to pick up so many other movies, and I get it. It is a standout film. It is an important film. It does a lot of really great things. But when there is such a dominant sweep like this, I think there's so much other great things that are available and out there that I feel like aren't going to get that same recognition for the amount of effort and craft and time and recognition that I really do feel like it deserves. It's, there's these years where a movie will sweep like this, but I think in general, I'm not a big fan of the sweeps to begin with, let alone when it's a full Oppenheimer sweep that really feels like it's going to take both like the acting categories, the technical categories, the big Best Picture, Best Director categories. Like literally, it is a full sweep, and I'm just having a visceral reaction to this level of cleaning the floors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I am curious to see if they're gonna split Best Picture and Best Director this year, because
so.
they do that sometimes. So we'll see if this is one of those. Because I mean, like we talked about, the Best Director category, they're all incredible, and I think even these Best Picture nominees are all really good, So I do hope that there's not a full Oppenheimer sweep. Like it's going to be the movie that walks away with the most awards. Like there's no question about that, I don't think. But I hope that there is some variety, and that these other films that are technically excellent, that have wowed audiences, that have so many important things to say, I hope that they also get the recognition that they deserve, because there are some really great movies here, and so much hard work and dedication and creativity and craft that went into these. So I hope that those people are celebrated as well.
Yes, for sure. And what's interesting too, I've been really reflecting the past couple of days at my emotional response to the Oppenheimer train. And I think what feels different, and why I feel like I have a stronger reaction to it this year compared to, say, like the Everything Everywhere All at Once sweep that also did happen last year, is that like it is so distinctly like a classic like Academy Award bait movie. First of all, second of all, it's about like a great man contemplating his legacy. It's like a serious man movie where serious men are thinking about serious things in rooms and talking movie. And there are so many other films that are stellar, like same caliber in the crop of movies this year, that focus on stories about indigenous populations, stories about females and their transformations and their coming of age, stories about like gender norms. There's stories about like there's like people of color, and I just for this movie to be the one that will sweep so rampantly, just feel doesn't sit quite right with me compared to sweeps of other films that we've gotten in some of the past years that are focused on more diverse types of storytelling that aren't classically, historically, the things that the Oscars body will go for. So there's a little bit of that too, and I temper that with a lot of like, I gave a lot of awards to Oppenheimer. It is so strong. It does so much so well. It's just, is all of the hype around it kind of snowballing to the point where we are no longer able to see some of these other movies and celebrate and recognize and bring them to that level of recognition that are about other types of stories as well. And keep them in the discourse, let's keep talking about these other movies too.
And that is exactly what we are going to do on this podcast.
Yes,
and that's why we're going to create our own awards show that does everything right and picks only the best and doesn't make these same silly mistakes that the Academy does.
Yeah,
and we'll probably give out a lot more awards.
We will. I love it. Yeah. Okay. Any other last thoughts before we wrap?
I'm very curious about our little Oscar wager situation here.
Yeah.
We have some categories that are very similar. We have some categories that are very different. Right. And it might just come down to those moments when we just went with our heart instead of riding the Oppenheimer train. So this should be really interesting.
Yes, indeed. I think this will be a juicy year, and it's fun because there are a lot of categories that we divert on, and some years like we're walk and step for a lot of the categories, and it really does come down to like 1 to 3 of them. And I think this year actually there's a lot of diversity in the choices, so that's always really fun. Yeah. All right. Well, this is our Oscar predictions episode, and we are excited to find out the results for all of these categories and also the results of our Oscar wager. So thank you for listening to this week's episode of Movies and Us. Our name sums it up. We're all about movies and the powerful ways we can connect with each other and the world around us. This podcast is about all of us and our shared stories, so everyone is welcome here, and we're so glad you spent time with us today. You can subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you tune into your favorite shows. Drop us a rating and review, letting us know your thoughts about this year's Oscars nominees. You can connect with us on Instagram and Twitter at MoviesAndUsPod, or you can email us at moviesandUspod@gmail.com. We will be back in a couple of days with all of our reactions to the Oscars winners, the results of our Oscar wager, and we will reveal the Oscar wager winners movie pick that we will watch next. So we're excited for Sunday night. We hope y'all will be tuning into, and we'll get to talk about all of the events, happenings afterwards. We hope you have an amazing week, and we'll see you very, very soon.